Hi, this is Pat Montgomery, and you're listening to another episode of Parents Rule video blog. Today we're talking to casimclean, and her website is www.casi-mclean.com. And her book is Wingless Butterfly, Confessions of a Jerk Magnet. And I know I've been a jerk magnet myself at times. But as far as Parents Rule, I'm the author of Now You Know What I Know, Parenting Wisdom of a Grandmother, and The Patriot Parent, Still the Best Hope for America. Today with Cassie, we're going to talk about some very important issues, such as self-confidence and forgiveness. And I want everybody to pay really close attention, because what she has to say is what she's learned from her life, and it's very uplifting and very inspirational. Cassie, in your book, you talk a lot about forgiveness. And some of the things you went through, a lot of people would have a hard time forgiving the other person for. And not only that, but you talked about confronting the bully in the mirror. And that was about forgiving yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think forgiveness plays a huge part in this, and I want you to talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, it's true. I went through a lot, and I found out a lot of things about my past that I never expected. I found out I had 4 sisters and a brother I never knew about. And I found out exactly why my mother said, "You don't want to know him, he's the kind of man who pulls wings off of butterflies," and it was the best metaphor that I could imagine. And it profoundly changed my life. So, having said that, there are a lot of things. In fact, my mother, I look back at my mother, and a lot of people say, how could you forgive her for lying to you your whole life, for keeping those things a secret? And you know, my mother did that to protect me. She did not lie to me for anything that had to do with her. She lied to me to protect me and to keep me safe. And so, and honestly, I would not be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through the process that I went through. People ask me how I can forgive the men. I was married twice. Both of my husbands were engaged to someone else when they were married to me. I know that sounds a little bit bizarre. One of them had a relationship for 15 years with someone in another state. And that people ask how naive were you to not know that was going on. But he was a traveling salesman, and I knew there was something wrong in our marriage, and I tried to work on it, but I had no idea that was going on. But I think that everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. And what I try to do is to look through the eyes of the other person, because I think it's important that you realize that people do things for themselves and not against you. And it's only
That's a really profound. Can you say that again?
People do things for themselves and not against you. There were reasons that people did the things that they did that affected my life, but they weren't maliciously trying to hurt me. And if I can look through their eyes and discover what they were perceiving, it's easy to forgive.
You know, as we get older, I think that reality comes to us that when we're younger, we're so quick to judge people, but we judge them by our standards. And I think that too many times we don't know what's going on in those other people's lives. And until we can understand that, then you shouldn't judge people.
I think that people get into a victim mode. People get hurt, and the pain stays in them. But the only way to let go of that pain is to understand that if you can look through the eyes of someone else, the eyes of the person that's hurt you, and forgive them, that's the only way you can let go of your own pain.
Okay, so do you think forgiveness is about the person that hurt you, or is it about you?
Oh, it's about both. But forgiveness just feels better, just like happiness. It feels better. And honestly, I would not be who I am or where I am now if my life didn't go exactly the way it went. And I love where I am right now. I am having the time of my life.
But if you were in a quagmire of pain and anger and frustration, you would not be where you are
Exactly.
right now.
And you know what? I have every right to be. I could have thrown
Yes,
a
you
lifelong
do.
pity party.
Yes, you do.
But what good does that do me, my children, anybody and everybody that my life touches? Right now, I am doing things that I never dreamed I could ever do. And I'll give you an example.
No, Cassie, you did dream them. You just forgot.
Yes, I forgot. You're right. You're right. But I'll give you an example of what I mean. I never realized I could touch people's lives the way that I'm touching them. I got a letter from a woman who lives in Greece. Greece, that's the other side of the world. And she said that I profoundly changed her life because of my book.
Wow.
That is something I never dreamed I could possibly do.
That just gives you
So
chills.
it's beyond what I dreamed. And to know that I am touching the lives of other people and helping them is the greatest gift I could have ever gotten, and it is worth everything that I went through.
I see so many people, like you talked about, that are stuck in, and we talked about being stuck in the past a few minutes ago, and they're stuck with this anger cycle that they're going through. And I knew a guy one time who anger and unforgiveness and judgment, that was his drug of choice. And he was like an addict. And unless he was angry about something during the day, he wasn't a happy person. I mean, didn't feel fulfilled.
Was he happy even in the anger?
No, he was never happy. And unfortunately, like what happened to you a few times, the anger got vented on me. But if your ex has cheated on you or done something terrible,
If your husband that you're still in the
husband
relationship
that you're still in,
the relationship with.
you know, all you can do is all you can do. You can only handle your own stuff, and you either choose to stay in that relationship and accept things the way they are, or you get out and you forgive them.
It's all about choice. You
It
have
is.
choices. Your choice determines your destiny.
Right.
Because you have choices every day. I mean, think about it. You wake up in the morning and you choose what you eat. Okay? I mean, I would love to have these big breakfasts with eggs and bacon and grits and potatoes and all of. But you know what? When I choose to do that, it's going to affect my health. Every choice that you make in every direction of your life matters. And it's okay to splurge. Well, I'm not saying it's not, but what I'm saying is that it's going to cause patterns, and those patterns are going to direct your life. You have choices in everything you do, and you have choices with whom you spend your time. That, to me, is extremely important. I spent a lot of my time around negative people, and it sucked me down. But by forgiving and moving on, I focus on the positive. I try to surround myself with positive people, with positive influences, with people that are uplifting, and it makes such a difference in my life.
Sure it does.
I mean, I wake up every morning excited to start the day, excited to think, what can I do today that's gonna touch somebody's life, or that's gonna help my child, or whatever. And gosh, it feels so much better than what I lived with so many years. But I don't look back at that with regret. I don't.
You know, some of you may or not know, but I'm a nurse. And a few years ago, I went back to work at the hospital, and I hadn't worked there in 6 or 7 years, maybe 10 years, and I went back. And I'll tell you what struck me so deeply is the fact that when I would ask people what their medications were that they were taking at home, I would bet that 9 out of 10 of them were on some sort of mood elevator or some sort of antidepressant, which was not the same as it was back when I was nursing earlier. And I was just blown away by how many people are actually taking medication. And I guarantee you that a lot of that has to do with not forgiving people, not forgiving yourself. I mean, Cassie and I have talked about this, and it's so much easier. if somebody in my house spills milk, breaks a glass, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, it's a big deal, just sweep it up and clean it up, it's no big deal. But if I do it, it's like, oh, you're so stupid, why do you do these things? And you're so much harder on yourself, hence your bully in the mirror.
Exactly. My entire book, though the subtitle is Confessions of a Recovering Jerk Magnet, it isn't about jerks. It isn't about men. It's not a guy-bashing thing at all. It is about patterns I put in place. And the biggest thing I had to learn was to forgive myself. And honestly, this is an ongoing task. I am a work in progress and will be till the day I draw my last breath. In fact, even a couple of weeks ago, I went to a restaurant and we ate. A friend and I ate, and I got up and I had I guess I had notes in my hand. I had something in my hand. And I went out, got in the car, we drove away. And I got almost back to my house, and I said, oh my gosh, I left my purse on the back of the seat. And I started saying, that was so stupid. Why did I do that? I've got my credit cards in there, my driver's license. I probably have cash. I mean, I started going through this litany of things that were in my purse and how horrible I was for doing that. And the guy looked at me and he goes, I know who you are, and you would never talk to somebody that way. How can you talk to yourself that way? I didn't even realize I was talking to myself that way. It was an old habit, an old pattern that's stuck inside of me. And I've really been focusing on that lately because I still tend to beat myself up when I do something that isn't perfect. I think it's not a bad thing to expect more out of yourself than you expect out of other people, because I think that lifts you up and it gives you the energy and drive to move forward. But at the same time, when you beat yourself up for the little things that you do, things that you deem as stupid or forgetful or whatever, you're creating a pattern that is not healthy. So,
and what are you teaching your children?
Oh my gosh,
Our kids learn more from our examples than they do from what we tell them. So we've talked a lot about self-confidence over this interview and forgiveness. And I think forgiveness plays into self-confidence.
Definitely.
I think unless you have forgiven yourself for things you've done wrong in your life, or maybe not even done wrong, but maybe stuff you didn't do, or stuff you even thought about doing and you're still beating yourself up over it, you're not going to have self-confidence. So they play hand in hand.
They really do. And your past is your past. You can't change the past.
Right.
Whatever happened to you, no matter what it is done over, and it's taught you something. Mm-hmm. But you have from this moment on.
That's right.
So your past does not have to define you. It will always be a part of you, but it does not have
and
to.
I'm just so honored that you let me interview you.
Well, I have had a lot of fun, and
we live close together.
We do.
So that's very cool.